Sometimes when you've been through a breakup, it feels like all you have left is questions. You want to know what went wrong, why they left, and most importantly, you want to know if they're coming back. Well, I do have some good news for you. The truth is that it's very, very common for exes to come back after a breakup, and it is possible to rebuild the relationship into something stronger than ever before. This happens more often than people realize, but it doesn't happen randomly. When exes come back, they do it for very specific reasons. So to begin with, I do need to say that there really is no simple answer here. Your breakup is going to be unique to you, to your ex, and to the situation that you found yourselves in. But there are some commonalities that we can look at that show up in many of these situations. I also need you to know that breakups don't always mean that the person is over you or even really wants to end the relationship. The breakup could just mean that your ex is overwhelmed, conflicted, emotionally immature, or avoidant. Or it could stem from a lack of communication, or even really just bad timing. Now, this can be complicated, but it's actually a good situation to be in if you do want your ex back, because as long as the love is still there, you still have a chance. So here are the reasons that an ex is going to come back to you. And we'll start with reason number one, which is that they feel the loss. See, in the immediate aftermath of a breakup, your ex might feel relief. It's part of the process. If the two of you were having a lot of problems, if they felt trapped or smothered, then the breakup is going to provide immediate peace for them. But that peace comes from your absence. And they didn't just lose all the bad stuff, the conflict and the pain. They also lost you. And given a little time, if the two of you had a real connection, your absence will become unbearable. Because the thing about almost any relationship is that we take each other for granted. We can't really help it. It's in our nature. Humanity didn't survive and thrive in nature by counting our blessings and looking on the bright side. We were driven to focus on fixing problems and looking forward to what's next. And this is why our jobs, our relationships, our hobbies, they all start to lose some luster over time, because it's so much easier to focus on what's going wrong rather than what's going right. But a breakup really flips this dynamic on its head. Now, you're no longer around for your ex to take for granted. And so they start to see all the benefits that you actually brought into their life. You're not there to make them smile, to make them feel attractive and wanted. You're not there to keep them, company or give their life meaning. And because they feel so sad and alone, you start to look like the solution to all their problems rather than the cause of them. They start to think about you really all the time. They wonder what you're doing, who you're spending time with, and what it might be like to see you again, even just for a moment. That ingrained human desire to have it all, to fill every emptiness, fix every problem, that's what will drive them back to you. And really all you have to do is wait. But this only happens when you're truly absent. So if you're chasing, texting, begging, reminding them that you're still there, then they can never really feel your absence. And so they'll never feel any real reason to take you seriously. And that actually feeds into the next item on this list. Reason number 2, you trigger nostalgia instead of pressure. So let me say this clearly. People are drawn to peace and repelled by pressure. So if you're constantly reaching out to your ex, seeking closure, or trying to reason them back into the relationship, you're not drawing them back to you. You're reminding them why they left you in the first place. Not only does constant contact prevent them from feeling your absence, but it also brings up negative memories and associates you even more deeply with the breakup itself. So think of it this way. After a breakup, your ex no longer feels like they understand you. They saw you as their boyfriend or girlfriend, their partner through thick and thin, who brought them happiness into their life and made them feel better when times were tough. But now you're their ex. So they need to construct a new way of looking at you and relating to you. Essentially, you're starting from scratch. And you have a choice in how you want your ex to see you right now. You can be their pathetic ex who makes them uncomfortable when you reach out in tears, begging for another chance. You can make them feel like every interaction with you is going to bring conflict because they'll have to turn you down again and again. You can make it so that getting a text from you, triggers their fight or flight response even before they've read it. Or you can be someone they lost, a silent memory of a better time in their life when they were happy and fulfilled. You can be the one who got away, the one who ran away for the wrong reasons and regret never giving it a real shot. That version of you isn't going to trigger a feeling of pressure that they want to escape from. And when they get a text from that version of you, they'll be rushing to unlock their phone, desperate to see what you have to say. But to create that association between your presence and your ex takes time and focused effort. You need to work on yourself and rebuild your strength and identity. And you also have to give them a lot of time and space to miss you. Not the pathetic, desperate version of you, the calm, confident, attractive one who makes their heart beat faster. And if you can do that, you'll also trigger the next reason on this list, which is number 3. Your ex will come back when they see that you have moved forward. Now, I'm sure that many of you have probably already experienced this, or maybe you're experiencing it right now. You go through a breakup and you start obsessing over your ex. You beg for another chance. You try to reason with them. You call them at all hours of the day and night, maybe yelling at them on the phone. And then after being rejected again and again, you realize that it's just not happening. And so you make the painful decision to take another path. You pick up the pieces of your life, you rebuild, and you start to move on. Maybe you start to improve yourself, date someone new, and just generally move away from your ex. And the moment you think it's finally over, that's the moment you feel your phone buzz. It's your ex. And they say they just want to catch up, but you can tell there's more to it. So what gives? Well, this is the paradox. Your ex is more likely to come back when they think that you've moved on. Now, there's a few reasons for this, but it's mainly because people just want what they can't have. Before, when you were actively and aggressively pursuing them, they knew they could have you anytime they wanted. And so you didn't feel as new or as special, as all the other potential people out there on dating apps or in bars or wherever. But now, since you're no longer available to them emotionally, you become instantly more attractive. They realize that if they don't make a move quickly, they could lose you for good. They might have already lost you. And that is going to trigger them to pursue you the way that you had been pursuing them after the breakup. All right. And reason number 4, time and distance reframe the relationship. So it's actually been proven that when short-term memory becomes long-term, we tend to favor the positives over the negatives. The good parts of the past stick around longer and grow more significant over time. So right after the breakup, your ex is going to focus on all the bad parts of your relationship, the conflict, your shortcomings, issues with communication, that kind of thing. And this is really a defense mechanism to stop themselves from falling into despair about losing you. But once they start to feel safe again, once they've had a chance to process what happened and get back on an even keel, then your ex is going to start to dwell on the positive aspects of the relationship more and more. They'll realize that while there were issues, the good far outweighed the bad, and they'll start to think, maybe I acted too quickly in ending the relationship. But that only happens when there's distance. And that's why I emphasize no contact so heavily. It's not manipulation. It's really an emotional detox. It allows both of you to process and reset your feelings. So obviously, you can't just force your ex to come back, but there are things you can do to improve your chances that don't involve crossing your fingers and waiting around. But do be careful, please, because it's really easy to obsess about this stuff. Remember to focus only on what you really can control, which is your own actions. So here's how you can channel your energy to help your ex come back to you and improve your own outlook during this difficult time. And it starts with number 1, which is just to invest in yourself first. Now, I know that your ex will bring a lot of value into your life, but you need to remember that you're equally valuable, both to them and to yourself. Now, it's easy to forget this when we're, hit with something like a breakup that really shakes up our sense of self. So rebuild your life to rebuild your confidence. Put time into your hobbies, reconnect with your friends, invest in your career, and put your own happiness first. Set some goals and put real time and energy into them, and you'll start to love yourself again. And when you have that self-love, it's going to be obvious to everyone around you, including your ex. When you prioritize yourself, you just naturally become more attractive. And the second thing is to reflect on the past without drowning in it. People typically take one of 2 paths following a breakup. Either they wallow in self-pity, wallow in anger or resentment and slip into deep despair, or they push down all their feelings and they try to pretend like nothing ever happened. So really, you need to take another path. The first week or 2 after the breakup is going to be a lot of mental and emotional chaos, and there's not a lot that you can do about that. But after that, then you have to make an effort to look inward and start doing the work. Really, it's all about balance here. You can't just push the feelings and thoughts down and try to ignore them. That's how people get stuck obsessing over their exes, because they never deal with their emotions and instead treat their ex like a magic pill that's going to make all the sadness go away. These are the people who scare away their exes with pressure and with clingy behavior. And at the same time, if you dive in too deep into your thoughts and feelings, then really it's easy to get lost in despair. So do your best to sit with your feelings as they arise. That means, putting down your phone and really focusing on the feelings and what they mean. And while you're at it, ask yourself questions about the relationship and the breakup. What really went wrong? How did you contribute to your issues? How did your ex? What should you do differently? Sometimes we just need to lay everything out on the table to understand where things fell apart. And reflection is not about regret. It's about gaining insight, preventing repeated mistakes. So write down your thoughts, talk to somebody important, maybe even consider professional advice if you feel overwhelmed. And shameless plug here, I can actually help advise you about your breakup and work with you to put together a plan to win back your ex. If you're interested, just go to breakupbrad.com/coaching after the video to find out how it works. I really am an impartial observer, and I've helped thousands of people in similar situations, so I can definitely help you get back on track. And that's breakupbrad.com/coaching. All right, now let's move on to number 3. Be open to communication, but remain cautious. Now, after a period of no contact, you need to know how to re-engage. I know it's very exciting when your ex reaches out, but you need to continue being strategic for at least a little while longer. So rather than jumping straight back into the relationship, take things slow. Keep it casual, flirt, make jokes, and slowly rebuild the connection and the attraction. Now, your ex may still be in an emotionally raw place, so, don't take what they say as gospel. Remember, actions speak louder than words. If they're serious, their commitment to change will become evident over time. And having clear boundaries is also essential. So don't compromise your standards just to get a little bit of attention from your ex. Trust has to be rebuilt slowly based on mutual respect and genuine effort. So these are the 3 ways that you can improve your chances of getting your ex to come back. But I know some of you are probably unsure about my advice because it's also internal, right? How does any of it really improve your chances of getting them back? Well, it works because what your ex will respond to most is how you treat them and yourself during this time. As I've already said, trying to manipulate them, pressure them or beg them into giving you another chance really just makes you look pathetic and desperate. But if you treat yourself well, maintain your boundaries and show them that you're acting out of love rather than fear, you are going to make them want to be part of your life again. And it's also about maintaining your own sanity during this process because it really can drag on. If you're waiting for a specific timeline for your ex to make a move, well, you're only going to drive yourself crazy. Because the truth is, there's no set schedule here. What matters most is how you feel about one another and your willingness to move forward together. That being said, there are going to be some indicators that your ex is getting closer to coming back. First is consistent communication. A hot and cold ex is definitely better than one who is totally absent, but regular communication is what we're looking for here. An ex who disappears for weeks and then pops back up telling you how much they missed you is vastly inferior to one that texts you every day, regardless of what they're saying. And the second thing is self-improvement. If your ex is genuinely working on themselves, they can be doing it for the same reason you are, to try to spark a connection with you. And this is especially relevant if they're letting you know all that they're doing, because that suggests they still care what you think. And the final sign is if your ex is taking accountability for their own actions around the breakup. So any apology or even acknowledgement of mistakes is a great sign because it's almost always an attempt to get you to open up so that they can get closer to you. Unfortunately, even if it does seem like your ex may come back, there is really no guarantee. So don't take their attention as an unobstructed green light. Remember, they don't always know exactly what they want. And that's why you need to take it slow and sort of feel it out, or you could really scare them off. And if they do come back, it's never going to be because, you bragged, explained, or proved your worth. It's because they felt the loss, they saw your growth, and they realized what they were going to miss out on by leaving you behind. So let go of the outcome, give them the gift of missing you, and give yourself the gift of healing. All right, that just about does it for today. I want to say that I really do appreciate you checking out my video. Please don't hesitate to watch a few others by clicking on the related videos below. And if you like my advice, like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you so much. Best of luck. See you next time.